Any other changes you'd like to see us implement?
No, I would say my biggest concern is the time frame.
Okay,
Is the time frame.
thank you.
There is a motion on the floor to get a follow-up report June 24th. Is there any more discussion on that motion? Ms. Sarton?
Will it make any difference to the presentation if the policy committee has not met and made a recommendation that could be implemented at the high school?
That was the question I had.
I'm wondering if the policy committee is put together, if the suggested motion is made and passed, then the policy committee would be reviewing this policy, perhaps making changes to the policy that could be implemented and impact what's going on at the high school. Will all of that happen before the end of the year?
It's a good question, and I think, we have to act on that as a board. If we're going to send it to policy, I think we have to consider that time frame, and that is something that we have to decide. Ms. Fisher, and then Ms.
Well, I was going to make a motion before Kyle made it, that we take this up at our next policy meeting, which is April 4th.
Right.
Which we could bring back to the board on April, our next meeting after that, 8th, so it could be done quickly.
Ms. Goldich? Okay. On the follow-up report discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
Just to say, I still would like to see a report on the 24th, just to, besides the revisited the policy committee, I still would like to see where we are on the 24th, just to monitor.
If I see no more discussion, I'm going to call that motion to a vote to have a follow-up report on the community service project for the freshmen on June 24th. By show of hands, all in favor? Yeah, that's unanimous. Opposed or?
No,
It is unanimous. Motion passed. Is there any other action, Mrs. Fisher?
I move that the Vernon Board of Education refer suggested changes to policy to the board's policy committee for their April 4th meeting, with hopes of bringing it back. Oh, sorry, April 2nd. Our April 2nd meeting, and bring it back with revisions at our April 8th board meeting.
I have a motion to send this back to policy for their next meeting. Is there a second on that motion? Ms. Sarn?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there a discussion on that motion? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a vote by show of hands. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Ms. Sarn?
Can I ask one more question? When we were discussing this, we made some assumptions, and maybe we were wrong. Is it silly to think that there are things that students could be doing at the high school that are considered community service? I mean, we weren't talking about going out into the community to these organizations. We were talking about tutoring a fellow student can be considered community service, doing cleanup on the football field, whatever. That's all community service.
You run into different.
Well, okay, bad example. I'm sorry. Stepping on others' toes.
Yes,
but-
exactly. So we run into a couple of things, but there have been opportunities that we have used at the school that some kids have taken advantage of, but the amount of hours would never meet the need just within the school. But I do know that, again, people in the community who have heard through parent groups and different things that we needed available hours, different things, have contacted us, but they might not want to be on the sheet as the direct contact. For example, they might contact me and say, we'd love to see a group of 5 to 8 students out on the rails to trails on this day at this time, but they don't want the students to contact them. They would contact me and say, this is the opportunity, and you need to bring supervision. So it might go a different route than being on the list. So we kind of go in both directions in ways that students might be able to contact somebody directly and do something, versus somebody from the outside might actually contact us and say, I have this need if you want to find someone to fulfill it.
Thank you for your report this evening. Item 5.6, this is the administration reorganization. This is another motion that we need to take action to untable prior to going into our discussion on this, since it was tabled at our last meeting. Is there somebody who wishes to make a motion to untable this topic for discussion? Ms. Sarno.
I move to return the discussion of central office reorganization.
I have a motion to untable the administrative office reorganization. Is there a second on that motion to untable? Ms. Fisher. A motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to untable? Seeing none, I'm going to ask for a show of hands. All in favor? And it's unanimous. That item is now untabled and we can take action. Is there anybody wish to put a motion on the table to initiate discussion? Mr. Kemp.
First question, with regard to the Director of Pupil Personnel and Human Resources.
Can we get a motion on the floor so that, for the discussion for this item?
We could, I don't know what motion I want to make. If it has to do with some of the answers I might get before that. Unless you prefer to have one, then I'll yield the floor.
I'd prefer to have the motion just to make sure that we have the debate based on the motion.
Okay.
Ms. Sarno.
All right, for the purpose of discussion, I move that the board approve the central office reorganization.
I have a motion to approve the central office reorganization. Mr. Vutar?
I second it.
A motion and a second. Is there discussion on the motion? Mr. Kemp, you have the floor.
Actually, it's such an all-encompassing issue here that making one solitary motion regarding all of it is significant. I would not want to vote against a motion like that because I disagree with some piece or pieces of it. And yet a motion that you wanted out there now, which has been made, would, unless I agree with all of it, necessitate that I vote against it. I don't know if that's a good thing, but there we are.
Did you wish to speak to any of the
Well,
items?
the first question I have, the Director of Pupil Personnel Services, I'd like to know if the $6,740 is a stipend or if it's inclusion in the base salary.
That would be inclusion in the base salary. I was looking to place to pull that position out of the administrators union because they will be dealing with personnel files, which the assistant superintendent does now. So we have, that's the difference between the current assistant superintendent salary and the director's salary. So that would be up to the board at the end of the year, but that's my suggestion.
You still have the floor, Mr. Kemp.
I don't mind that the additional amount of money be, as fair compensation be included, but I would have preferred that it be in the form of a stipend rather than inclusion in the general salary. But so I'm not entirely happy with that aspect of that. I just don't know about the rest of it as to where I might go on the voting.
Thank you. Mr. Vutar.
Director,
Please use your microphone so folks in the back of the room can hear.
Director of People Personal Services. What is the middle one? Related services? What does that mean?
Related services, the Director of Pupil Personnel is in charge of the guidance personnel, of social workers, school psychologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, speech and language. Those are related services.
Thank you.